Hi again, it's Erin from Yippee Ki-Yay, and today I'm going to do a ghosting test. I have a massive stack of journals right behind me. We're going to see which ones bleed, which ones ghost, and which ones hold up to the challenge. Stick with me for the journal smackdown. All right, here you can see the pile of journals we're going to test. I'm going to try and do it as quickly as possible so this video doesn't go on forever. But I've got all the big names here. And you might be surprised which ones hold up and which ones don't. So here we go. All right, in no particular order, basically I'm just going to go down the stack by size. I'm going to tell you what type of journal it is, and basically I used 2 pens for this test. I used the Zig Clean Color Real Brush. This is a very wet ink with real brush bristles on the end. So it's a very good test because it'll go through a lot of the thinner papers. And then for the super duper smackdown, we brought in the Sharpie permanent brush. This thing goes through everything. So this is the real test. Wait till you see what happens. All right, so basically what I did in each journal, I did the Zig brush on top with some handwriting, and then I just did a big S for the Sharpie pen. This is a little Paperblank. It's got plain paper. This is just the small size, but you can get them in regular journaling size, but just to show you. So for the ghosting, not too bad. I can see it a little bit, but I would say in general, that's not too bad. This is a very wet pen, so any of your regular pens are going to be fine on this paper. The Sharpie did bleed through. That's about medium level bleed compared to the rest of these journals you'll see. Some are better, some are worse. But that is a really, really wet pen with solvent in it, so it goes through pretty much everything. So that'll give you an idea of where we're starting, those 2 things, and we're just going to nip right through this whole pile. This is a Moleskine. I'm going to talk a little bit about Moleskine later because there's several different types of paper. This is just their regular weight lined paper. I've got a couple more down here in the stack you'll see. So here is the ghosting and the bleeding challenge. And as you can see, it did ghost quite a lot. I can read the writing perfectly through the page. And of course the bleeding, it went right through. Now this paper is meant for writing on. It's not really meant to stand up to ink and brush pens and markers. But just to give you an idea. So that's a Moleskine there. This cute little guy here is a journal that I got at Hobby Lobby. It is called the Escalada journal, and it's actually pretty cute. It's got a little pocket, but we're not going to go into that today. The paper is not super great quality. This was a very inexpensive journal, $3.99. It's very rough, very absorbent, cheap paper. You can see that it's very absorbent. It's sucking up all the ink faster than that Zig pen could produce it, which is what gives it this sort of skipping effect, and it does not look very nice. But just for the sake of the test, I included it. Now, the ghosting wasn't so bad. The bleed through, pretty bad. That's because the paper's pretty absorbent. But the ghosting wasn't too bad, so that one's not bad. I think they make these in a larger size also. This is a little journal I got in Italy. It's made by Fabriano. You can get them here. You can order them online. They come in all the colors of the rainbow. This is their eco line, so I believe it's recycled paper. It's got a cute little pocket in the back. But on to the challenge. Ghosting and Sharpie. A fair amount of ghosting here. I can read those words pretty easily. And the Sharpie, of course, bled through quite a lot. I can even see ghosting on the regular pens. So this paper did not hold up especially well. I use it mostly for pencil drawing. I put a sticker on there myself so I could tell which was the front and which was the back. So that one did not hold up especially well. This one, I got a little journal also at Hobby Lobby. Master's Touch, it's called. It was $3.99. Again, it's the very cheap absorbent paper, and you can see not only did it ghost, we even have a little bleeding happening here, and of course the Sharpie bled also. So it's soft paper. It's nice for drawing on. It would be fine for straight bullet journaling, but once you start adding markers and ink and maybe a little bit of paint, it's not really going to hold up. It did come with this nice little pen holder, so that was nice. But all in all, it's a very inexpensive little journal. It's a good one to practice on. This is a handbook. These are a little bit more expensive. These are found at the art store as opposed to an office supply store. It's a little bit fancier quality. They have a lovely clear pocket in the back, which I always put my business card in case this gets lost. Hopefully somebody will return this to me. Here's our test down here. And we can see the ghosting was medium. I can't really read what it says, but I can see it. And the Sharpie, it's hazy, but it did come through. But this is lovely, thick, cream-colored paper. I've done a lot of sketching. It will hold a light wash. So all in all, I think this is a decent book. They're not cheap. They come in all different sizes and colors. This is by HandBook. It's a nice one for sketching in. This little beauty right here, I believe, came also from Hobby Lobby. Yes, it did. It's got a lovely pocket in the back. It's nice, bright white paper. It's got a lovely cover. It sort of is their version of the Pauper Press journals, which have all these beautiful covers. But anyway, let's just look at the paper. The paper is nice, thick white paper, and here we have very good results on the ghosting. I can barely even tell there's writing on the other side of that. And even the Sharpie, look at that. It ghosted, but it didn't really bleed through. That's amazing, because that pen goes through everything. So I would definitely recommend this journal if you're going to be doing markers, ink, maybe a little painting in there. This was $5.99 at Hobby Lobby. I would give this one an A. That did really well in the test. All right, 2 Moleskines here. Now, I am going to say a big fat I'm sorry to Moleskine, because in my original ghosting test, which I posted a week ago, the photograph of the 5 journals compared, this is the one I used, and as you can see, the paper's very thin. I can read perfectly what's on the other side, and the Sharpie did come through. Now, this paper is very thin. It's almost, not quite an onion skin, but very, very thin paper. And I made a generalization based on that, which I should not have, because Moleskine has different papers. Here's another journal I have that I found in my car that I forgot about. Now, this has completely different paper. It's much thicker. It's blank paper. It's not their watercolor paper, which is even thicker, but it is a cardstock, which you can hear. So, and here's what happened. Very good results on the ghosting, pretty good results on the Sharpie test, which is the big test, and none of the other pens showed through at all. So, I take back everything negative I ever said about Moleskine if you can get the right paper. Now, I went online and I could not find anything on their website that showed what kind of paper this was as opposed to what kind of paper this was, but you're going to have to just test them out yourself. But this one I would definitely give high marks to. This one, not so much. Unless you're doing straight bullet journaling, meaning no markers, no doodling, no ink, no colors. This would be fine. That means it's just you're writing in your pen. That's it. But once you start getting into omni journaling and you're going to add stuff or embellish it, definitely that one would hold up beautifully. All right, this one you might have seen in my other video. It's a Ranger by Dylusions. I think I got it at Michael's. Very heavy cardstock, and it did very well on the test. So here are our 2 test markers. No ghosting at all. I can't even see where that is, and minimal ghosting from the Sharpie. So this paper holds up. You can see I've done a watercolor wash. No bleed through, no crinkling. This paper held up beautifully. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to go more into omni journaling and you're going to want to embellish the paper, this one held up beautifully, and I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it was not a lot. The Dylusions, and I'm pretty sure I got that at Michael's. So, and a handy dandy place for your pen here, so that was a great one. All right, I got sparkles everywhere. Here's the Rhodia. We saw this in my first test. Similar paper to the Leuchtturm. This one's dotted. It's lovely and smooth paper, fabulous for writing on. I really love how smooth it is, especially with my fountain pens. However, I did these on 2 pages. Here is the ghosting test, which, as you can see, not too bad. Better than the Leuchtturm. Better than the thin Moleskine. Not as good as the thick page Moleskine, but pretty good, all in all, I would say. Medium, I give it a B. And here is the Sharpie, which of course did bleed through quite a lot. So this one again is good, very popular among straight bullet journaling, because it's good for writing with pens. Once you get into omni journaling and you want to add ink, markers, etc., it is a little bit on the thin side, but very high quality, and I really like that one. This is a general sketchpad I got at Michael's. It's sort of their mixed media, spiral bound though, but very thick paper. This is the watercolor paper. So just to give you an idea of how thick watercolor paper is as compared to regular journal paper. Here's our test here. Here's the Sharpie here. And look at that. Nothing shows through. Barely can you see any indication of the Sharpie, which is the best so far. So this one gets the highest marks for bleed through. I've painted all over it. None of the paint shows through the other side. I got this quite wet. The pages did not buckle, but this is heavy duty watercolor paper. So if you're going to really add some paint and some markers, this is a great journal. It is spiral bound, so that's a matter of personal preference, but high marks to this book, and it was probably about $5 at Michael's. This is a wonderful series of books by Stillman Byrne. They do 6 different paper types, and they tell you on the back what they are, whether they're heavyweight, extra heavyweight, whether they're ivory or white, and what they're best for. So this is the Zeta series. So here it says extra heavyweight paper, 270 grams. That's quite heavy. Smooth white paper, good for dry and wet media, watercolor, and ink. So this is the good one for omni journaling. Lovely smooth white paper, very thick. And here's our test, here and here. And as you can see, 0 ghosting, minimal ghosting with the Sharpie. Barely can see that. So this one passes with very high marks. This came from Plaza Arts, that's an art store, and it's color coded. So the Zeta series is the purple covers. So I highly recommend these, and you have a lot of choices here as far as paper. It wasn't super inexpensive, but definitely if you're going to beat up your journal a little bit and add some paint and markers, that one's going to hold up. Here we have the beautiful Leuchtturm, very popular with the straight bullet journaling. Again, the paper is made for writing on with a pen. It's not really made for washes, markers, especially Sharpies. So here you can see quite a lot of ghosting coming through. Even the regular pens are ghosting, and the Sharpie bleeds right through. So these are popular with straight bullet journaling, which means just writing on, no embellishing with markers or paint. But if you are going to go into omni journaling and start adding, you know, stamps and embellishments and ink and paint, this paper is a little bit on the thin side. And finally, the Pauper Press. As you will remember, this won the original ghosting challenge of the 5 books, and I will show you why. Here is our test and the Sharpie here. Almost 0 ghosting at the top, which is really lovely. Some ghosting from the Sharpie, so this one didn't score as high as some of the more watercolor type papers, but for a regular paper, that did incredibly well. Their paper is very thick, very lovely. It comes with a lovely gold edge. Unfortunately, they do not make dots yet. This is lined. But this paper really holds up beautifully, and these are beautiful covers. They come in an unbelievable array of beautiful covers. So I highly recommend this one also for mixed media and omni journaling. Okay, so that's the long and short of it. You've seen all the journals. I hope this was helpful for you, and stay tuned because I'm going to be doing some more videos very soon.